We will see. Let's start with the latest on Derek Carr. This was from friend of the show, the great Rich Cimini on ESPN.com, giving us the latest on the Carr to the Jets speculation.
Will Derek Carr be the Jets quarterback in 2026? There's a lot of buzz lately. Carr coming out recently and saying that he's interested in coming out of retirement for the right team. Carr, of course, retired last May from the Saints with a significant shoulder injury, and the Jets just this week hired Bill Musgrave to be their new quarterbacks coach. He was Carr's offensive coordinator a decade ago with the Raiders when Carr had a couple of his best seasons, and he has spoken highly in the past of Musgrave. So if you connect the dots, you can see it happening. The Jets, of course, are desperate for a quarterback, but this is no simple task. A couple of questions. What is the status of that shoulder injury? Also, how effective could Carr be? He didn't play football all of last season, and the Jets would have to trade for him because the Saints still have his contractual rights.
Okay, so based on that, Frankie, are you buying the speculation of Carr being a real option for the New York Jets?
I think so, Jake. I absolutely do. I know people are bringing up the fact that Derek Carr said, I want to basically go to a winning team or a team that's going to give me a chance to win. I don't even know what kind of opportunities Derek Carr is going to have. Let's be honest here. Who's really going to go out there and want Derek Carr to even compete for a starting job? He does have an injury that really nobody knows how he's going to recover from that. His throwing motion might never be the same again, which obviously will affect his ability to be a starter in this league. But assuming the injuries check out, Jake, I think there's a big possibility. If I had to, I tweeted it the other day, gun to my head, Derek Carr is a starter for the Jets next season. I know I'm going out on a little bit of a limb there because of some comments you see from the media where it's about winning and that's what he wants. Derek Carr, he wants to win. But I just think when all the stars align, and again, those years that Derek Carr had with Bill Musgrave, those were big years. I mean, he had back-to-back Pro Bowls. He was third in MVP voting. They won 12 games one year with him there. So, like, Bill Musgrave's looking and thinking about, well, who's the most successful quarterback that I called plays for? It's that guy. You look at the kind of prototype that Frank Reich wants at quarterback. Who fits that prototype that's basically available? It's that guy. If Kirk Cousins doesn't want to come here and we can't trade for Jacoby Brissett, who's out there? I mean, we got to think about this. What is it going to be Marcus Mariota? Is that really? They're not going to sell us on Marcus Mariota. And I do think the Jets are going into an offseason where they need to create a little bit of buzz around this team. I don't think
Derek Carr buzz though. Like, are we? Who thinks Derek Carr is going to bring real buzz?
You know what, Jake? I think, hear me out. If Derek Carr shows up and you watch him because he's great with the media, and you sort of look at some of his, past years that he's had, and you look at his totals, he's had over, 40,000 passing yards, almost, he's double in touchdowns to interception ratio. They've sold us less, and we've gotten more excited as Jet fans. I'm just saying. I don't know what other quarterback you can really get more excited for out of the list that's available at this point.
I think there's only one, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Outside of like a huge surprise of like Burrow or Lamar or something unrealistic like that. I think Malik Willis would provide some excitement because of the unknown and how he looked really good in limited opportunities. But beyond that, trading anything for a guy who was retired last year, coming off a shoulder issue, that would be, to me, a disaster. Now, if you're going to acquire Derek Carr and it's like next to nothing, like it's a 7th-round pick or something, 7th, 1st, 6th swap, because I don't think it'd be a lot. Okay, I'll entertain the conversation. My big thing is the Jets can't just act like, well, we had Derek Carr and we're good. Like, if that's their plan, then Aaron Glenn's not going to be here for 2027 because Carr, he wasn't good the last time we saw him, and he's injury prone. So who's your backup at that point, right? And I mean, again, you're going to be looking at another year, as we've seen many throughout this playoff drought, of 2 to 3 quarterbacks that will start games for the Jets at some point in 2026.
I agree with you. I do agree with you. As a fan, I am not a fan of bringing in Derek Carr. So I want to, distinguish those two things. What I think they're going to do and what I would do is completely different. I don't want Derek Carr to be the quarterback here. I don't know what the upside there is. I mean, What are you going to win? Again, we're having this conversation. It feels like every year now. What are you going to win? 5, 6, 7 games? Where are you going after that? What's the upside? How many years does he have? So I'm with you totally there. Now, there is a world there where Derek Carr raises that floor, stabilizes that quarterback room. If you bring in a rookie this year or next year, assuming he sticks around, he can learn some things from Derek. There is something there. But overall, yeah, I'm with you, Jake. I think, but I do think, Jake, that Aaron Glenn is trying to save his job. And you saw that with the Frank Reich hire. You see that with even guys like Bill Musgrave coming in there. He's trying to just raise that floor so they're not an embarrassment, and he can win enough games that can sell us and the ownership group on maybe another year. He's like in a little bit of self-preservation mode, I want to say. And I think when all the stars align, you look at Derek Carr, his body of work. Again, remember, he did, and we spoke to Kaz about this on our podcast. It's not sure, and it's unlikely there's a relationship with Derek Carr and the Johnson family, but there is a relationship with Derek Carr and some people at the Jets. Obviously, before we got Aaron Rodgers, he was the hot name to come in here and be that sort of veteran starting quarterback, and that wasn't too long ago. That wasn't like it was 5 years ago. That was a few years ago. So there's something there, but gun to my head, he's going to be the starter because I don't think he's going to have many other options. And I think the Jets are going to look at him as being someone that kind of checks off all the boxes you're looking at in terms of quarterback prototype, relationships, raising the floor, someone you can maybe get excited about. But I'm with you. This team's got to go in another direction at quarterback. Derek Carr is definitely not the answer.
Yeah, again, there's no great option out there, but I don't see the value in going after Derek Carr and no one else. If it's Carr and Mariota and you draft someone like the Giants, okay, I'll listen to that plan. To your point, beggars can't really be choosers. Like, there's no great option out there. That's kind of what is depressing about where the Jets are at. You have all these resources, cap space, premium draft capital, and there's no obvious way to like get the guy long term until you really project out 2027 in all likelihood.
Yeah, Jake. I mean, the only other quarterback option I would like for us to entertain, and you'd have to trade for him, is Jacoby Brissett. I think you look at Jacoby Brissett. He's someone that I think would raise that floor, plays the position in a way that I think can get the offense moving a little bit, get some juice in that room. He'd help out Garrett a bunch. I think he'd also help out Mason Taylor. Look at the year that Trey McBride just had with Jacoby Brissett in Arizona, arguably one of the best tight end seasons ever Trey had. So I think if you want to get that room going a little bit and someone with a little bit of upside, sort of a Ryan Fitzpatrick situation that we had in 15 here, and you want to roll the dice a bit, I think Jacoby Brissett would make the most sense there. But again, it's not going to get anyone too excited.
How about Marcus Mariota? Because Leger Duzelo went on a whole rant on CBS Sports that he's the perfect guy for the Jets.
I don't agree with that at all. I don't know why Marcus Mariota would be the perfect guy for the Jets. I mean, the guy's bounced around to, what is he on this 8th team? I don't know, man. It's just, Marcus Mariota is a good spot starter. He can come in and give you something for 3, 4, 5 games, and then all falls down. He also struggles to stay healthy. That's another big thing with Mariota. He hasn't really put together a full season since he was a rookie. I mean, like, you're talking like over 10 years ago there. It'd be over 10 years ago when he was drafted. So, listen, I like the idea of him coming here and competing in that room, but there's no way you could possibly think Marcus Mariota is someone that's going to start an entire season and give you a real chance to make the playoffs. I just, the last season he's put together was years upon years ago.
He looked good in that one Sunday night football game against Denver that we all watched. But I mean, I don't know. If you sign Marcus Mariota, it doesn't cost you draft picks of any capacity as a free agent. If you had a room of Mariota, Derek Carr, let's say, and Garrett Nussmeier, is that the worst scenario? Because at least you see a real plan they're trying to put together there.
Say that one more time. It was who else? It was Nussmeier.
Let's say it's Carr, Nussmeier as the rookie with Mariota as the other veteran with Carr.
Listen, I don't hate it at all. I don't. But where do we go from there? I mean, like, where does that put us next year? I don't see anyone on that in that quarterback room that I'd have to bring back in 27, assuming that's your room. I can see it. I can see us starting from scratch again the following offseason. That's the only problem, I think, with that situation. But in a 1-year window, I think it makes sense. I mean, it's not horrible considering the options.
Look, I'm all for keeping Breece Hall. I just wonder if there's a lot going on there internally. Does Breece want to be a Jet? Do the Jets want to keep a guy who maybe is wishy-washy about being here? How would he react to the franchise tag? Harrison Phillips had those eye-opening comments on my show and speaking with Richie over at Roundtable Sports about that same old Jets mentality that they got to shake free from the building. Breece kind of embodies a lot of that. He's known nothing but losing. He can mope a little bit. We've seen that. I thought it was notable he wasn't voted team MVP, despite the fact he was the only player who had like a real statistical milestone on the team with 1,000 yards rushing. I'm not saying Breece is a bad guy by any means, but they didn't trade him. So I thought, okay, well, clearly they're going to keep him. Do you offer an extension? Do you use the tag? Just your thoughts there on what Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks were discussing.
Can't disagree with Jeremiah. Listen, he plays running back, the positional value. We all know the deal. But I would franchise him. Yes, completely agree. I would not offer him an extension. The Jets are just not ready for that. It's not smart. Positional value factors into it in a big way. But also it's one of those unique situations where while I want to franchise him because I have the cap space, I have the maneuverability, I could do that. It doesn't, if everything blows up, it doesn't kill you. It doesn't hurt you. But while I want to franchise him, I also want to take inventory and get his true thoughts and sit down with him and see what is going on. Now, is there a goal behind that? Not really, because you don't know which way the wind is going to blow. But to your point, what was the description? He's not been a happy camper or whatever. It's going to continue if things continue to roll badly. So yeah, I'd franchise tag him, but I'd also take some inventory to see what his true thoughts are if they haven't done that already. But even if they have done that already, you got to do it again before the decision comes up.
I just think if you're not going to keep Breece, what exactly is your plan? Because it can't be, as they're talking about, well, you just draft someone and, you're all good. You're not going to find a Breece Hall in this draft. You don't want to use premium capital in the first or second round on a running back. I wouldn't take Jeremiah Love. I know he's awesome, but I just wouldn't take a running back when the Jets have so many other needs in round one. So then you start to talk about, okay, well, you're going to sign someone else in free agency. I saw today, Kenny Walker not expected to get the tag, but is Kenneth Walker going to come to the Jets? You're going to sign Travis Etienne. I think I'd rather just keep a guy I know is a good player in Breece. Maybe they use the transition tag, which could save them some cash. You put the transition tag on Breece, and then all of a sudden you pay him $11.72 million instead of $14.53 million if they use the normal franchise tag, and that gives you the right to match any contract Breece would get. It's going to be fascinating to see how they handle this because I'm sure Breece wants an extension if he's here. He's not going to want to play on the tag. Most players don't, but that might be the best course of action for the Jets.
And listen, it's one of those unique situations. He might make noise to a point where he wants to force himself out to. I have no idea. I mean, I've heard conflicting things initially after the season. I heard from a few people within the know that he's going to be back. They're going to keep him and make that push. I've heard other things too. So I think having the honest conversation with him is a big part of it. Now, again, there's no goal behind it. I don't know what they should do based off of that, but where they are in terms of where they are and rebuilding and trying to get this thing turned around, I think that's a major part. You just don't want disgruntled guys. That's a huge thing that's to a detriment to a team.
I agree. Comments, questions, super chats, cut the line. The great Robby Sabo is with us here as we're talking about Breece Hall. I mean, look, I think the Jets have not used Breece to his full potential these last couple of years. I still believe that. I mean, I know some are saying, just maybe this is who he is, but does anyone doubt that if he went to the Chiefs or he went to the Rams or he went to one of these teams that understands offense the way a modern offense is supposed to be run, Breece Hall wouldn't be one of the more prolific players in the league? Like, do people really think that? Like, the Jets coaching has been so bad and they've been trailing in so many of these games. I don't think we've ever really seen Breece over the course of a full year be utilized to the best of his ability.
Yeah, Mike LaFleur used him the best. Now, to be fair, and he used him in the passing game a lot. Remember the wheel route at MetLife? I forgot who the team was. Maybe Miami.
Miami. I was at that game.
Was it Miami? Point for me. I just tossed one out there.
They put 47 points that day on the board, and Zach barely threw. He just checked it down to Breece for one of those big plays.
Yeah, and I remember breaking down that wheel route. Actually, they were working off the linebackers. Miami's linebackers were just getting lost in coverage. They weren't. They were floating in space and not keying in on the reads. But yeah, LaFleur used them great, but at the same time, it could be both. The Jets haven't used him well, but also did he, and how much of a step did he lose after that injury? I think it's safe to say he lost something. You don't come back 100% every time. So I think both are at play. And, they have depth. Braylon Allen coming off an injury. It's tough to trust him. You like Isaiah Davis, but, RB1, neither guy is that. Breece is that. But to what level do you rank him in terms of RB1 at the NFL level? That's another factor. It's tough to rank him too, because you don't know what his potential truly is. So the disgruntled nature of everything, take the inventory and see what's possible there. That's where I would start.
I would keep him on the tag. And if someone wants to trade for him, you can at least have the conversation.
Zero long-term extensions. That is out of the question. But tag, yes, that would be my goal too.
And if he doesn't like it, tough. I mean, it's in the CBA. Again, You're going to be paid well. And I think I wouldn't even use the transition tag. I would just use the normal franchise tag, because I don't want to lose Breece Hall for nothing. And I don't know if I want to commit long-term. So look, the Jets have so much cap space. Does it really matter in the grand scheme of things between paying the guy $14.53 million versus paying him $11.72 million? Like,
no, for 1 year, no.
Like, for 1 year, does the $3 million really matter? Is it worth potentially losing Breece for nothing when you didn't trade him at the deadline? When you didn't trade him at the deadline, there was reportedly a 4th round pick on the table from the Chiefs, and the Jets said we want a 3rd or no deal, and Kansas City said no. When you didn't trade him, that led us to believe, well, logically, you're going to keep him. So now that we're here, if they just let him walk for nothing to get a comp pick that's maybe a 5th or a 6th, not this year, but the following year, and who knows if Glenn is even here to see the benefit of that pick, just to then spend money potentially on another running back, I just think that's poor roster management by Muji here. Once you didn't trade him, you got to keep him. And I understand the appeal of the transition tag. Oh, you can match whatever offer, but what if you just don't want to extend them altogether? Let him play on the tag. He'll get more money that way. And you know that you're going to keep them. Or if a team makes you a great offer, when you tag a player, you still could trade them on the tag. It would buy you more time to talk with other teams. And maybe another team would offer you a 3rd round pick, and that would get it done. But I think just letting him walk, you can't do that. So you almost have to tag him just to give yourself more time to either figure out his value on the open market in a trade, or you just keep him for a year because he's a good player. And the Jets lack good players overall on the roster, and this guy can help you win games.
Yeah, this is the picture-perfect situation where the franchise tag makes all the sense in the world. And the X factor is
the Jet X factor.
The Jet X factor is the cap space. If the cap space weren't like this, then yeah. But boom. If the cap space wasn't like this, then yeah, you go into free agency, into the draft, taking that chance. You have Braylon Allen, you have Isaiah Davis, you draft a guy in the mid to late of the draft, and go forward. You could get away with that at running back sometimes with the positional value, but with that cap space, do it. Try to keep them. That's where I would be too. But at the same time, I would, man, you gotta try to, because you know how it is when you talk to someone, and it's probably especially that much more difficult in the NFL and the Jet situation with Glenn and Hall. You got to sit him down multiple times to try to break through that wall, to try to get his true feelings. I mean, you see his social media posts. He's smart about it. He doesn't ever tip his hand fully, but you can tell he's pining for more, which a lot of players do, but he makes it known. And that's the difference. So you got to try to tear down that wall and try to get him to truly let you know what he wants to do. But is that Breece? Not really. Breece will say the right things in most of the cases. So can Glenn do that? And that was one of the positives with Glenn. He enjoyed confrontation. He reveled in it, yet I haven't seen it come to fruition yet. And that's why I keep coming back to take inventory on Breece, because if Glenn is worth his, if his weight at head coach, this is one of those situations where it'll show up positively.